disturbed about is the fact that it was social and you take the stick to your ass, dump it in the salt water, and then say, hey, you're next.
Want to borrow?
Yeah, want to come over for dinner later?
My God.
Yes,
Just the sheer thought of that.
we're having chocolate pudding for dinner.
So thus, then the toothbrush was invented by the Romans, I would take.
Yeah.
That was scrub a little bit more.
Hmm.
That's very interesting. What happened after the Romans?
Well, I'm reading here in Georgian times, okay? That you'd think that you have shit contained in a place that would be far away from your food.
Yes.
But in Georgian times, they put the potty, which was just like a little, like a jar sort of thing that you would shit in, and it was in your dining room.
Wait a minute.
What, in dining room?
In your dining room.
Wait a minute, though.
Yes.
A jar.
Yeah, just like a pot. That's where you get the term potty from because
Okay.
you would go to.
What's different than a jar? I'm thinking, what if you miss the jar opening? But a pot, the
Well,
opening's relatively big.
it's
No.
wide, right?
If you came home from a night out with the guys and you were hammered drinking, I don't know, bark beer back then, I guess, and you come in and it's on the dining room table,
And you miss.
and no, you're hungry. What the
Well,
hell happens then? All of a sudden, you're eating shit.
you know what? Pyle's got a good point here because back in those days, you used to get your leftovers and just throw it in the pot and
That's
make a soup.
very-
Like you would have a soup that was all ever going. Like it was always on the stove and it was always cooking. You just throw it in there, and whatever was in there, you'd eat the next day. So he's got a good point. I mean, someone could mistakenly come home hammered and shit in the soup.
Shit.
Yeah, so you're eating shit soup.
Oh.
But even before that, the Tudor kings and that sort of like King Henry VIII, he had like a really nice padded seat and everything like that on top of like a big what do you call them? Like where
Oh.
whiskey comes in. What is it called?
A silo?
Not a silo, but like what do you call it? Like
A bear?
A barrel. A barrel. Yeah. So you'd have like a seat
Barrel of shit.
on top of a barrel, and you would contain it in water, and then once it was full, you would seal it up and just kind of roll it somewhere.
Where do you roll it?
I don't know, somewhere.
Did somebody buy this? I wonder. Like, or
maybe,
did they pick it up?
What do you mean buy it?
Well,
Well,
maybe like for instead at those times, maybe like manure.
Oh yeah. Someone like a government agent that worked for the king would come around and pick up your shit, and then get rid of it
Were they composting that? Do you think back then?
for a fee.
For a fee.
Yeah, they wouldn't take it away for free. They would ask
would
you
have
for
to
money,
pay
and they
them.
would and they would take it for you, but you
Just
would
like-
have to pay a fee.
Was it fecal tax back then?
Fecal tax, pretty much. Yes, fecal tax. That's
Hmm.
correct. Yeah.
And then the toilet was invented.
Well,
But here's the thing. I was always under the impression that Sir Crapper invented the toilet.
Thomas Crapper did invent the toilet.
I heard that he did not.
Yes, he did.
No, I heard that he did not. That it was someone else who actually, although he's widely credited,
Oh, well, maybe he was the one who produced it.
commonly given credit for inventing the first flushing toilet.
That's also, is that why it's called crap? Obviously, because of
The Crapper, yes.
the crapper.
Tom
Yeah.
Crapper. But the first version, you can actually trace it back to the late 1500s.
Oh, come on.
No, really. It was apparently a British nobleman, Sir John Hannigan. He first engineered and invented the valve that could release water from the water closet, WC.
Oh, the water closet. That was just the next step from the potty. They kind of put a room around the potty so you would have more privacy to take a shit.
Yes.
I guess people got sick of having a conversation.
But he invented the valve that released water from this water
Very
closet.
interesting.
Okay, wait a minute. On a social level here, okay, we're going back to the Romans, and we're all sitting there. We're all having a shit. We're having a conversation.
Right.
What about those times when you shit and puke at the same time? I've had that a couple times. I'm sure our listeners have gone through that. How would you feel having a conversation and just spewing all over your company?
Well, John, you know what? That's very interesting. Back to the medieval times, they had similar, not a potty, but like the hole in the ground, and they would kind of put like, um, what do you call it? Kind of like bulrushes and stuff around the area. So everything you did in there, vomiting, shitting, or whatever, would kind of collect on this bulrush sort of shit, and it would just sit there. So anybody that came in there would be walking all over that stuff. So obviously, it was a big problem. You think about it. After a while, there's hundreds of thousands, millions of people taking a shit all over our
But
land.
there's more to consider with these Romans. It's not just the but sometimes when you're taking a big shit,
Right.
other noises happen.
Oh, I realize that. Yeah, many different noises, different
Many
timbres,
noises
everything.
happen.
But, yeah.
Little
Well,
loaf.
the noise come at you like that. I don't know.
Excuse yourself, little loaf. Oh
But
my
listen,
God.
really, so you're in a social setting and
Right.
that comes out.
Yeah, but it happens to people. If you never farted
It
in a
happens
social,
in the privacy
So
of my own bathroom.
you
What,
meet
you
a new person
don't
and say,
know
"Hello, my name is Drek." Oh,
accidents don't happen in the
excuse me.
supermarket.
Little, no problem making the noises in find privacy of her own bathroom.
Right.
But in a social setting
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing
with
more fun than
Pyle,
letting it go in a
listen,
social
I'd
setting.
maybe be okay with having that happen with Pyle and Drek in the room with me. But
You wouldn't have a problem?
I'd be okay with that.
Okay, I would have a problem with that.
I
I
like
would definitely have a problem with that.
I'm not gonna shit in front of the two of you, but if I let
well,
one rip, I'd be okay with that.
well, now I'm
If we're
disappointed. I want my money back for the
expanding,
ticket.
if we're expanding this social circle much past the three of us, I think I would have a really difficult time just having that happen in front of everyone. And
Well,
not
we're
only,
not
hang
asking you
on,
to take a shit.
not only, well, yes, but the Romans were taking a shit in public.
Well, I think we
Right?
should bring it back. In fact, I think one of our listeners should go somewhere in a very I see it.
Exactly. That's my point.
Okay. So what do you think, Mark?
So only not only are you letting it rip and you're probably stinking the place up to high heaven,
Right.
but you've got like wetness happening too.
Oh.
And then you do lean over and say, buddy, pass the sponge.
Yeah. Pass the sponge in salt water.
No thanks.
No, me too. I'm not for that. I mean, there's one stick per toilet, and there could have been hundreds of people sharing the same toilet. It's like, hey, Giuseppe, come here, sit
Yeah,
down,
not
take
comfortable.
take a load off. Here,
Not comfortable with the Romans.
here, use my sponge.
Oh, jeez. What a thought.
Oh, I had a horrible thought.
And then you think about it, Giuseppe's kneading the dough for the pizza at night. You're not
What
only getting
just-
that,
Oh,
you're getting it all over your hands, you're getting it in your mouth.
No,
know-
no. Wait a minute. The
Listen,
Romans
Brett.
were clean, obviously. I mean, they were using sponges. They're cleaning their asses.
Wait a minute, Drek. Pyle, what if Giuseppe had some internal parasites?
Oh.
Or
Now,
worms?
yeah.
Oh,
Can you say the Black Plague?
oh,
Can you-
no kidding.
Well, that's the whole thing. The French, back in the medieval times, they would throw their shit out on the road because they had these trench systems. You ever hear of a French drain?
Oh my
That's where
God,
it comes
that's-
from. French drain.
That,
Throw
that
your
is-
shit on the road and it will just drain down. You know what they used to say? They used to shout out, "Garde l'eau," which means